Hello, hello. So here's a problem right off the assignment that has two components to it. On one hand, the questions are about what the inventory is in a store, and on the other hand, the question is about how fast is the inventory changing. Okay? So I'm just going to address how you understand the inventory part and not the growth part. Okay? You find the growth by the derivative, but what I want to talk about, since I've made some other videos about derivatives already, is just about the units. Okay? Because when I read this question, I have this function that tells me the inventory in a store, but the number this function gives me doesn't just tell me what the inventory is. I have to interpret that number a certain way. And that's what this part says. It says the number of pairs of sandals in hundreds. So when I use this function, I have to think that whatever number I get out of it is telling me the inventory in hundreds. Okay? I can't just take the number I get out of this as is. I have to add that hundreds to it. So for example, if I do part A, as far as what the inventory is at the start of the season, and that's going to be referred to when x is 0. X is 0 refers to the start of the season. Then I do like this. I take my function, as you see it, I put 0 for x, and I get 31. And with regards to that, when you see that 31, you might think, wait, does that mean that number, is it that the inventory is 31 pairs of sandals, or is it 3100s? Okay, so, well, I mean, remember what we said here, that whenever you get a number out of this, it tells me the inventory in hundreds. So I see 31, but I have to think 3100. The inventory is 3100. I have to add that 100 to it. So you could answer like this. You could say for part A, as far as what the inventory is at the start of the season, you say, well, it's not 31 pair, it's 3100 pairs. Okay. Another way to look at it is that I'll take this number, whatever it is, and I just multiply it by 100, and then that gives me the true inventory. The number that I get out of this function isn't the true inventory. I have to either add the 100 to it or multiply it by 100. Either way, do you see then that the inventory at the start of the season is 3100? Let's look at part B, because there's also an issue of rounding. Okay, this part A that I just showed you, it said round to the nearest whole number, but there's nothing to round when you get a number like 31 and then multiply it by 100 and get 3100. No rounding is needed. Okay, notice it says here round to the nearest whole number as needed. Well, I didn't need to round anything there. If I get some decimals, well, then some rounding might be in order. So let's look at this. Part B says, what's the inventory 60 days after the start of the season? Okay, so I take 60 and I put it into that function. Okay, and it will tell me the inventory in hundreds 60 days into the season. So if I put 60 into this original function, as you see it right there, the number I get is 11.61538. Okay, don't round that number, only round your final answer. So when I did this in my calculator, then I don't know if you'll see this on my webcam, but there it is, 11.6153846. So I'm going to leave that alone. Okay, I'm not done, so I'm not going to do any rounding. Just got it like that. And again, like, what does that number mean? Like, if I see 11.6, does that mean the inventory is 11.6, or does it mean that the inventory is whatever this number is times 100? Okay, well, remember that fine print right there says that we have to take the result we get out of this formula, whatever it is, and to get the true inventory, I've got to multiply it by 100. So if I take that, that's the number that's in my calculator at the moment, okay, and I multiply by 100, then I get 1161.5 pair. That's the inventory 60 days in. Now here's where the rounding comes in. I'm now done. I know what my inventory is, and that was what the question is. And with regards to that, it does say round to the nearest whole number. So if I get 1161.5, then I guess my answer is either 1161 or 1162. How does rounding work? Okay, to round this to the nearest whole number means to round to that number right there. It's either going to be 1161 or 1162. But I see 0.5. What's the 5 mean for rounding? It means that I'm going to bump that next digit up by 1. So 1161 becomes 1162 if rounded to the nearest whole number. Okay, so that's how we do it. I didn't talk about the derivative or the growth, but I think that is addressed in some other videos. If it's something that you were having trouble with, you could of course ask, and I'd be happy to make another video. But otherwise, I hope that this one gives you a way to think about those units or that fine print for interpreting our results.